Yeah, it's weird. Like everybody will experience the same hallucinations, or everybody will experience the same sort of shit um, on acid, or it'll be like you can kind of just complete each other's sentences or something when you get on the same level. Like you'll have trips where that doesn't happen, but sometimes it will, and it's super weird. Like it's a total. Like I understand why the CIA went in depth with that shit and probably found out like a lot of interesting shit about the world through studying LSD because it does weird shit like that. But anyways, so yeah, we were both forgetting that we would redose, and we must have redosed a whole tab like 6 or 7 times. So imagine we're on like a 1200 to like 1500 UG LSD trip. That's how fucking intense this shit got when it started kicking in. And we eventually got out of the loop, luckily, but we were moving to a game called like Mario Sports Mix, which is a lot more complicated than the original game we were playing on Wii Play. And we were tripping balls, and we were trying to play like basketball or something on this fucking game, and I just couldn't register any of the controls, and it was because the tabs were starting to hit me. My cousin had had some pizza, or he had been eating and drinking, and I just hadn't. And so I think the tabs hit him maybe like 10 minutes after me. So I start having this shit kick in, and he's like, "Yo, are you all right, man?" And I remember my vision was literally like shaking into a tunnel and then like spiraling out and exploding. Like anything I looked at, I was like, "I don't know, man. Like I'm gonna go get some fresh air. I'll be all right." And I had another blunt rolled. I rolled both of them when I rolled them, and so I go back out and I light the blunt up, which terrible decision, but the way I remember it is I just couldn't figure out any type of thing, any type of coping mechanism other than smoking a blunt during that moment to like get rid of the anxiety I was experiencing. And what I ended up experiencing from my visuals was even worse, and I'm about to get to that. So I was hitting the blunt, and I remember walking up onto this porch line, or onto the back porch at where my parents used to live, and I'm like looking at the horizon because there's a forest behind where this back porch sits at. And so like maybe 40 feet away or something, there's an entire like layers of trees, and then there's a big tree like that was closer to us, that was like kind of rise like a mountain or something, like that's how it looked like when I was on acid. And I was smoking the blunt, and I think the weed started to kick in from the next blunt I was smoking after taking, after fucking like 1,000 UG of acid is starting to kick in. And I see this weird, demonic looking owl figure. It looked more like an owl than a bull, but it kind of looked like a bull as well. Like it had horns. Um, and I had no previous knowledge of like Greek mythology or Hebrew mythology when I had this experience. And I was actually ghostwriting for like a couple of like pretty predominant artists now. Like if you know who JDS Never Missing is, I worked with him. Wrote songs for him. I worked with Aeoli from Milwaukee. Like I've worked with some people that are kind of blowing up like right now, um, and I even have songs posted with them, so you could probably check that out on YouTube. Um, but yeah, like I'd gotten a lot of weird shit happen, and I was very paranoid and anxious about the Illuminati and shit too, but I didn't know much about it at the time. And the way I think about it now is like most of this shit wasn't real, but it's really interesting that my mind made this character which holds true in like ancient Hebrewism and ancient Greek mythology, which is Moloch. And as this like figure is kind of forming in the horizon of the trees. Oh my bad, I spilled my beer. Um, I fucking out of nowhere go like this, like it was instinctual, like it was a tick or something, and I was going through coke withdrawal. Like it just felt like I didn't even do it. It just happened to me, like that, and I caught a fucking bird out of the air, like out of thin air. Either it was a complete vivid hallucination of a bird. It had like black and white on it and a very like pointed straight down sort of tail. It was a very like, it looked like a smaller version of a crow that had white on it, um, or something like that. Like it had a black beak and a black head, but then it had like white patches on it, and it was like a smaller bird. Like I could cup it in my hand, so it was pretty. It was a smaller bird. I to this day I don't know if that bird was real or not, but I bring it in to show my cousin who hadn't really had the acid kick in as much for him yet. He was definitely like starting to feel it and shit, but not as much. It's like, holy fuck, dude, how'd you catch a fucking bird? Like, and like, stroking it and like looking at it. I was like, man, I don't fucking know. Like, I gotta go let him go. And so I go back out to the back porch to let the bird go, and this figure in the horizon that looks and appears as if it is Moloch, um, like comes closer. Like he like there's a pool and like a fence in my backyard, and it looked like in my visual like it moved, like its body was made of air or like water or something, and it moved through the fence and stood like at the foot of the pool on the other side. And so I'm like fucking tripping out, and I have a bird in my hand, and it goes kill the bird, and it doesn't tell me why, which I appreciate, but it like to me it felt like if you kill this bird, we're gonna make you join this life cycle of evil acts, and you will get all of the power and all the success that you want in life. Like we will make you a big ass artist, we'll make you, you know, the best ghostwriter in the world, but you gotta do this. That's how it felt to me, at least, like, if not more, but that's how it felt to me. And I just kind of like looked at it, and I just let the bird go, like with, worry in my eyes. And as I let the bird go, it kind of was like pissed at me. Like this figure was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" sort of shit. Like, how could you deny my power, sort of thing. And it just vanishes back into the shadows. And as I look at the shadows it vanished into, it turns back into trees, and you can see the moonlight shining down on. It was like maybe 1 a.m. or something at this point, by the way, or maybe like midnight. um, and I had a bottle of Xanax. If you guys have ever been doing Xanax or around Xanax fiends in California, what they would typically have instead of pressies, what we get typically, there's still plenty of pressies in California, but um, there's also a lot of Pharmapram Xanax because it's cheap as fuck and it's real, and it comes straight from Mexico into California, and it's easy to smuggle. So I had a 90 count seal of that, and I was tripping super hard, and luckily the thought occurred to me like, oh, okay, we can take some Xanax and like calm down, like kill the trip and like forget about it too, was my intention. So I tried to pop two at first, and if you ever taken Xanax ladders, like I've popped plenty of pills. Like I can dry swallow a pill. You give me a fucking perk 10 and I don't have any water, I could drink 5 of them bitches down with just one gulp of saliva, dude. Like, but if you're tripping on acid like really hard, like the way shit feels in your mouth is not the same. Your tongue feels weird, and like its sensation is very, very extreme. And so I fucking couldn't take it. I was like tasting it and it was just terrible. And so I had to go back outside to where the fucking scary demon was at one point and throw up off of the back porch, like, and I didn't get the pills down. And those pills my parents ended up finding, the ones that I threw up and tried to, they like found them because, anyways, I'll get to this. Um, yeah, so like trying to take Xanax, I remember that some douchebag that was like a drug dealer for me for a while. He had told me that you can put them under your tongue and they'll hit quicker. And so I was trying to do that and it wasn't working and it wasn't kicking in. And I had made sure that Colin got some. I gave him 2 ladders, so he can barely remember what happened after this either. But and I, fucking eventually like got some of the powder down and whatever happened, it started kicking in. And I just remember feeling this crazily like warm sensation around my head and like, okay, I can calm down a little bit, and taking like some deep breaths and like being like, okay, like this is manageable. And then I have no memory of what happened after that. But there was I broke the flat screen TV in my parents' living room. I had scattered like pieces of banana everywhere, so it looked like fucking Mario was like trying to get get you to slip and fall or something in the living room. Like I just at some point I had got a banana or like a bunch of bananas, um, and fucking squished it all over the floor. Those the pillow cushions and everything like the couch cushions were taken out and fucking scattered around. And I broke like a shelf with like some valuable like shit on it as well. It had like a vase on it, shit like that. Um, and yeah, on my 18th birthday, the day after my parents like are planning to kick me out, like that was my goodbye to them. They probably wouldn't have stood on that um, if I hadn't done that on my 18th birthday. But yeah, um, and so they found, they obviously knew like some fucking crazy shit happened, and me and Colin, I almost called him his real name, um, fucking uh, like fell asleep for like 5, like way long into the night, like 5 p.m. or something. I almost said 5 hours. We slept it like until late in the afternoon, and so they knew fucking something was up. Um, I don't know how much fucking Xanax I took, but enough to black out until the afternoon. So, um, and then they found the fucking mess in the morning and the Xanax pills that I'd thrown up. And so my parents were freaking out and saying like, "Do we need to send you guys to rehab?" and shit like that. And just scolding us. And that experience that I had with the demon, I kind of like looked into it later, and I found out that it looked a lot like Moloch, like this demon in ancient Hebrewism that's like known for like sacrificing. Like the point, like you sacrifice like food, or you sacrifice a kid, or fucking an adult, like a shaman, whatever. That's what this god was that I had seen. And so me catching the bird accidentally and then like being told by this crazy spirit seeming thing that I was supposed to kill it, and like that shit drove me insane for like years, for like maybe until 9-10 months ago. um maybe a little longer than that at this point, but like like a really long time, like at least a year. I believed like all this crazy shit. I thought the FBI was after me, all of this shit that made me just unbearably paranoid, and look into all these rabbit holes that really had no benefit to my life. I wrote a manifesto of like a philosophy novel, um, that I made with ChatGPT when that shit came out. It was called LaMDA at the time, um, and that shit was a complete waste of time as well. It was I had some interesting ideas, but not very many that people hadn't thought of before. I almost started a fucking cult. Like I was really paranoid, and I was like really good at speaking to the drug addicts on Telegram and shit. I don't know. And I had all these. I wanted to like make a church, um, but like it would just be once a month, and people would. It was basically I wanted to make a church that you could like go throw a rave at, and like thank God for being able to have a good time and shit. Which is kind of cool, but yeah. So, anyways, that's that is probably the worst trip. I would say Salvia was worse in some ways and not worse in others. That trip affected my life a lot. Um, I was really like basic. I was borderline schizophrenic after that happened to me for like a long time, and I had to, really reconnect with the way that I thought, and talk to therapists, and um, talk to my dad. My dad helped me, I would say, with that as well, um, to kind of get out of that paranoia. And I still feel it affecting me sometimes. I mean, I think pretty logically for the most part nowadays, but I definitely have some of that paranoia where it's like I'm kind of like a conspiracy theorist or whatever. And I think some of that shit might just be real and some of it might not, but who fucking knows? I'm crazy. I've done way too many drugs, and I definitely am not the right one to say what's going on with the world. But, anyways, if you saw this video by chance, I hope you enjoyed, and make sure to watch part one if you hadn't seen that previously. But, yeah, I like recording these videos. I've done way too many psychedelic drugs and otherwise, and so I have a bunch of stories to tell that not everybody wants to hear, and so I speak it to the camera. Thank you if you came across this, and goodbye.